Hi, everyone. We're going to be working with writing the equation of a line when given 2 points on the line. So we're going to start with this example where we have a line that passes through the points 0, 3, and 1, negative 1. The first thing I want to do is remind you that we're going to be writing these in slope-intercept form. So slope-intercept form is this one where it's y equals mx plus b. And we know that m is equal to the slope and b is equal to the y-intercept. All right, so let's make sure that we remember that. So the first thing we need to find is the slope of this line, right? So we're going to use these 2 points to find the slope of the line, and hopefully you remember that the slope can be found by taking the difference between y2 minus y1, and that is going to be the numerator, or the rise, right, over x2 minus x1. All right, so that's how we're going to proceed with this. So first thing I want to do is identify which is my point 1 and which one is my point 2. I'll say that this point is going to be point 1, and this point will be my point 2. So I'm going to say that if I'm starting with, let me change the color of point 2 here. It's going to be this. All right, so that means that my y2 and my x2 are going to be from this point, and then my y1 and x1 are going to be from this point. All right, so let's proceed. So y2 is going to be negative 1. We're going to start with negative 1 minus y1, which is 3, right? And that's going to be the numerator. And then we're going to take x2, which is 1, and subtract from that 0, which is the x1. All right, so if we continue with that, we're going to find that in the numerator, we're going to get negative 4, and in the denominator, we're going to get 1. So that would mean that our answer, when we simplify that, let me just remind you what we're going to get in the numerator. We're going to get negative 4 in the numerator. Whoops. There we go. Whoops. Negative 4 in the numerator. Let's try that again. Equals negative 4 in the numerator. And it's going to equal 1 in the denominator, right? So let me put my fraction bar there. Okay, and then that is going to equal just a negative 4 when we simplify, right? So we have our slope. This is our slope right here. That is going to replace, this value is going to replace the m in our equation, right? Let me undo that so we can use that form again. So again, we're going to replace the m with negative 4. Now I'm going to actually use this in my equation. I'm going to take y equals mx plus b, and I'm going to change the m to negative 4. Y equals mx plus b, but I'm going to change the m to a negative 4. So I know that my slope is negative 4, and then it's x plus b. I want to solve for the b value now, and the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to choose one of these points to plug in. Let's go ahead and choose the point 0, 3. This is my x, and this is my y that I'm going to use. I'm going to use x is 0 and y is 3. So I'm going to replace the y with 3 and the x with 0, and that's, here we go. So y is going to be 3, and x is going to be replaced with the number 0, and that will help me solve for the b. I know that to get going here, I need to simplify this math. And negative 4 times 0 is just going to be 0. So that's really just 3 is equal to 0 plus b in this case, which means that 3 is my answer for the value of b. So this value is going to replace the b in my equation right here. And once I have those two pieces of the puzzle found, then I know my equation. My final equation is y equals negative 4x plus 3. Okay. And that is it right there. That's the whole thing. Okay, guys, we're going to do one more example where we're going to try to write the equation of a line that passes through 2 points, and we're going to write it in slope-intercept form. Remember that slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. So we're going to find the slope, which is the m, and then we're going to find the y-intercept, which is the b. So we're going to start with finding the slope. And the way we're going to do that is using these 2 points. Remember that the slope formula is where m is equal to y2 minus y1 and over x2 minus x1. So we have to decide which is our point 1 and which is our point 2. So I'm going to use this point as point 1 and this point is point 2. That means that point 2, y2 and x2 are going to come from negative 3, negative 3, and point 1, meaning y1 and x1, are going to come from the values negative 5, 1. All right, so let's continue from there. That means that for this math, we're going to say that negative 3, that's the y2, we're going to take negative 3 and subtract from it the value of 1. That's the y1. Next, we're going to take the x2, which is negative 3, and subtract from that the x1, which is negative 5. Right? So when we do this math, it's going to become negative 3 minus 1, which is negative 4. And negative 3 minus negative 5, you may recall when you subtract a negative, you're actually adding. So negative 3 minus negative 5 is really going to be negative 3 plus 5. So that will give us the number 2. Right, now we're going to simplify this. Negative 4 over 2 just simplifies to the value negative 2. So that's our slope. Our slope, I should put my equal signs in between here. My slope is going to equal negative 2. So I'm going to take this value of negative 2 and plug it into the m. I'm going to replace y equals mx plus b. I'm going to replace the m with the value of negative 2. I'll put that here. Whoops, that's not it. Y equals negative 2x plus b. Now I'm going to plug in one of my 2 points, either negative 5, 1 or negative 3, negative 3. It really doesn't matter which one. So let's go ahead and just use this one. The x, remember, is negative 5 and the y is 1. So I'm going to replace the y with this 1. So I'm going to be writing this such that I replace the y with 1. That's going to be equal to negative 2, negative 2 times the x, which is negative 5, and plus b. All right, so now I can solve for b because I can isolate it. I just need to simplify this -2 times the -5. So I'll have 1 is equal to -2 times -5 is going to be +10, and then plus b. All I need to do now in order to solve for the b is subtract the 10 from both sides. So that means that 1 minus 10 is going to give me a -9 is equal to b. So now I have my b value solved. So I have my y and I'm sorry, I have my m and I have my b. So here's the m and here's the b. So I'm going to now rewrite my equation with those values so that my final equation is going to be y equals -2x minus 9. And that is the final answer right there.